Hey champ, welcome back to MichaelGarza.tv, Season 2, baby! I'm your host, Michael Garza. And the reason why it's been so long since the last video is entirely because we went on a hiatus. We had to give the crew a chance to go on vacation, to visit their family, have a life. I'm talking about the screenwriters, the directors, more than one, quite a few actually, the makeup artists, the talent, which is clearly not me. But then none of them ever came back. So I've been kind of scouring the world trying to find them, make sure they're okay. And they just didn't want to come back. So if there is a noticeable dip in the quality of the editing, if it seems a little less professional, because it was so very professional before, that's why. And one of the things that's going to be changing this season is that I realized my glasses are removable. It used to really bother our lighting guy that you could see the light reflected in the lenses. So there we go, problem solved. I didn't need him. What was I paying him for? It's like I wasn't paying him anything. The only drawback is that I can't really see my notes anymore. Or you, but I don't need to see you as long as you can see me. That's right. So I thought we would start off today with doing another little update, benchmark, is that the right word, landmark video, like my very first video that I posted. And I'm going to talk about some things that I've talked about in other videos, so if you're confused about what I'm talking about, in the case that this is the first video you've watched, in case you didn't realize, like I said, this is Season 2, so go back and watch the first season, man. What do you think you are, some kind of time traveler? You can just go around wherever you want, watch whatever you want, and just think you'll understand? No! Come on! Or you can do whatever you want. Don't listen to me. What am I, your mom? I mean, you would tell me if I was, right? Yeah, I trust you. I believe in you. Just follow your heart, believe in your dreams. But if you do want to go back, pause the video now. Did you pause it? Okay, pause it now. And then come back when you're done, obviously. Okay, here we go. So, I don't make a habit of watching my old videos because I don't like listening to the sound of my own voice, like a lot of people. It's very common. It's not just me. And I just rewatched my very first video, and man, was that... People actually watch this stuff? Okay, so I just wanted to touch base on some stuff. One of the things I mentioned was I was only working 2 days a week, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before in other videos. Maybe. Well, I'm a hypocrite. I haven't even watched my own videos. I apologize earlier. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure I said I got another job working for, I won't name it, but it's a counseling establishment. And I work the front desk. Very fancy title. I'm an administrative assistant. And I'm working 3 days a week there, 2 days a week at my other job still. And I'm loving it. It's awesome. I've learned a lot about the different types of counseling, what people study to get to where they are. I love working with the other counselors. I've got great co-workers. Everybody goes out of their way to make me feel appreciated, remind me I'm doing a great job. And I enjoy going to work. It's awesome. And it's been great to see that this could be what my future is like. I'm pretty sure I've said before that I want to be a counselor. And yeah, I did say that in the video. Yeah, see, I watched it and I know what's going on. You see how that works? It's magic. But I just wanted to share something that really warmed my heart. I was talking to a coworker about an experience that she had, and that was pretty hard and how rough it was. And one of the therapists came up and joined the conversation. She was just an intern at the time, but she's licensed now. And so we talked some more about it, and then she went back to what she was doing. Yada yada yada. Anyways, next day it's just me at the front desk, and the same therapist. She comes up to me to ask me to help with something, and she said, I just wanted to say, and this might not even be on the table. You might not have thought of it at all, but just based on the things you said to a coworker, I won't say her name for privacy. Just the things you said to her and the environment you created around you, the space you had around you. I think you would make a great therapist. And on the outside, what I actually said was like, oh, thank you so much. That's actually what I want to do. But on the inside, I was just, thank you so much. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. But it just made me feel really good. And I just love seeing the influence that the therapists have on the clients. And it's just, I love it. It's great. And my other job is still great too, even though they did have to cut down my hours. Still awesome. Awesome boss. I'm pretty much a member of the family. Things are going great on that front. Oh yeah, the divorce was finalized on August 26th of 2019, not 2020. Surprising, I know. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. It was rough for a while. And it's kind of funny because the two of us kind of bonded over how dumb the whole thing was, because we had to get one thing signed, and then we did that, and then they said, just wait a couple of weeks, and then we'll let you know, and we call them back, say, oh, well, actually, you need to get this other thing signed that we never told you about, never included, and you gotta do this, and you gotta do a triple backflip through a flaming hula hoop that is laying down on the ground, but you have to go through it, and it was just really dumb. So I called the courthouse on the 30th of August, and I said, hey, I just want to check on the status, see if the judge signed, whatever it was we had to do. And the lady goes, oh yeah, it looks like it was done a couple days ago on the 26th. And I was just like, whoa, yeah, baby! So the first person I texted was my ex. I said, hey, guess what? It's official, we're done! Not in like a malicious, haha, screw you type way, but it was like, hey, this isn't a stress anymore. We've gotten it taken care of. And then the second person, I probably should have explained this a little bit first, but in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there are, we call them wards. It's kind of our congregation, and they're divided up by where you live, but there are also wards for people who are between the ages of 18 and 30 that are single, and they call them young single adult wards. And because I was legally married still, I couldn't be in that ward. So the second person I texted was my bishop, and I said, Bishop, I am divorced. Get me to the singles ward. And yeah, so trying to organize my thoughts where I want to go from here. So I'll go with that. So I joined the singles ward, and it's been pretty fun. I've been in two others before, and I'm about to put Utah on blast. I haven't been too impressed with a lot of the people here. I won't go into too much detail on that, but the people in this ward, they're awesome. If any of you are watching this, you're lovely. Thank you for being you. You're great. I've made some new friends, Mom. I'm pretty great, and I've gotten pretty involved. They've got lots of activities going on that I try to go to, and it helps me get out of the house, and I love it. It's great. I joined the choir, the ward choir. Who does that? Not me. But it's been fun. It's been fun. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I've started dating a few months ago. That was weird at first. It was actually kind of funny because when the divorce was going down, and I had the whole thing going on with my anxiety, and everything was freaking out. Sorry, my iPad is where my notes are, and it shut itself down. What was I saying? I seriously have the worst memory. Oh yeah, I was just super ready to be dating again and be in a relationship, and I've since realized after talking to other people that that was part of the transition phase, because I intended to talk about this later, but I'm talking about it now. So there. I had lost my sense of purpose. My role was being a husband and having somebody to take care of and husbandly stuff towards. And so I was just lost. I didn't know what to do. So my thought was, I just want to be dating somebody again. And over the course of this past, almost a year, I've learned through therapy and counseling and just my own thing, learning to just focus on being myself and being me and doing things for my own happiness and not anybody else's. And by the time I could date again, I didn't really feel the need as strongly anymore. I'm happy to be just me, you know? I've lived in this apartment by myself for over a year, and I'm comfortable with that. You know, I don't need to be in a relationship right now. You know, I'm doing good. I'm open to the idea, but I'm not in any kind of hurry. But yeah, dating. I wasn't really sure how it works at first. I'm not sure if I am still. Still have to figure out what the difference between flirting and compliments are. To my knowledge, I haven't done any flirting, but I don't know. On that note, I have made a goal of complimenting people more often, because I'll think nice things, but I never say it out loud. So I'm trying to actually do that, because I like how it feels when I get a compliment. So I want to make other people feel that way, you know. And because my memory is so bad, I won't realize I didn't actually say it out loud until like 4 hours later. I'm like, oh, I didn't tell her those boots look good, or I didn't tell him I liked his shirt, stuff like that. But I'm working on it. And the reason I really started wanting to do that is because I've met some people who are just really good about giving other people compliments, and I've seen the reactions they've gotten. I'm like, that's awesome. I want to be like that. But let's see. I can't actually read my notes. Oh yeah, updates on how I'm doing mental health wise. So I was going to therapy for more than 1 month. Don't remember how many exactly. But I've stopped going to therapy. It was about the time of the divorce. It was either right after or right before. But in our last session, I made up a name for her because I didn't want to say her real name, but I can't remember what it was. So I will call her Harriet, after Harriet the Spy. Harriet said to me, you know, I think just based on where you started and where you are now, I think that you're excelling. And if you wanted to keep coming, you could, but I don't think you need to. And I really liked that. That made me feel really good. But I said, yeah, I want to keep coming, please. But it turned out that just my funding for it was not going to be there anymore. So I didn't keep going. But because I work at a counseling establishment, I get vicarious counseling. And it's pretty awesome. So I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I've pretty much destroyed my PTSD. Where before it was happening almost every single time I was in a car. Now I get like a blip of panic once a month. And it's not really that bad at all. And I am going to make probably 2 or 3 videos about just that whole journey of PTSD. Depression is not that serious. I haven't had to take medication to deal with it, but I've got a really good handle on it. It was a lot worse when I was a teenager, but anxiety is the bigger issue for me. And I made a post talking about a lot of this stuff on Facebook for my friends. And the way I think about this whole thing is the analogy I've created for it is a car. I'm in the driver's seat, right? And depression is in the back seat. He likes to try and jerk the wheel, and every now and then something will happen, and my mental block, my force field, will come down for a second, and then he'll just leap forward, grab the wheel, and just yank it as hard as he can. And then I get into a minor crash, and then I have to go and take my brain car to the feelings mechanic for a couple of days. And that still happens. That actually happened recently. I might talk about it here. What time is it? Hold on. I've got a little bit of time. I gotta get ready for work here in a second. If it looks like I just got out of bed, I didn't. I got out of bed more like 3 hours ago. Right. So, depression's in the backseat. He's really bitter. Most of the time he's just like, never let me drive. But anxiety is in the passenger seat, and he's just super talkative. A lot of times he likes to just scream, and he's just really irritating. And he's my constant companion. And it's I've learned how to manage anxiety. I've learned how to put up barriers. I've learned how to deal with the bigger waves when they come, because they do. And I've shared a lot of that, as you know, because you've watched all my videos, right? That's right. And the the thing that's kind of funny to me is a lot of times when people find out that I have all this stuff going on, it always surprises them. And I've always had to say, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always anxious. And it's actually kind of funny because I shared my mental health story a little bit at church a couple of weeks ago. And, well, it's more like a month. I even know. I'm not even going to pretend like I know. But someone said to me that he was really surprised about that because I always seem so happy. And that took me aback for a minute. And I said, well, yeah, because I work to be. And that was the first time I thought of it that way. I work to be happy, and it is a lot of work, but I'm proud of that work, you know? And the other thing I want to say about that is most people that are dealing with this stuff, depression, anxiety, and everything else that is possible that I don't deal with, I'm lucky enough not to, a lot of them you won't ever know unless they tell you specifically or unless something happens. So just don't ever assume anything. You have no idea what your neighbor's going through, what the person at the drive-thru is going through. Just be respectful. Understand that people have a life outside of your own. I'm not saying that that's what this guy was doing. I'm just, in general, this spurred that thought. But just be careful with what you say to everybody. And let's see, is there... Okay, yeah. So yeah, I do feel like I'm excelling. I do feel like I'm doing pretty good. As far as my other goals that I mentioned in my very first video. I was doing great at exercising for a while, and then my opposite hip, you'll recall because you've watched the videos, my left hip exploded several years back, and I finally figured out what was wrong with it. I got that taken care of. But then, I was exercising again. It wasn't hurting, which was great. But then I made the mistake of getting into a spray bottle fight with my niece. And I jumped off of a porch and did a really cool spinny flip that exploded my other hip, which had never happened before. So that got me out of the habit of exercising for a while. But I started exercising again many months later. But stop thinking that I'm not using you, you jerk. Not you, my iPad. And where was I? I was talking about something, wasn't I? Oh yeah, hip. Blah blah blah. Exercising again. It's fine now. Taken care of. Dealio. But I did want to share a principle that I've learned and had to remind myself of the past couple of weeks. I used to have a lot of trouble with anger when I was a teenager. I don't know if it was a side effect of my depression or my hormones were just going bonkers and just testosterone, or a combination. But I had a lot of trouble with that. But I learned to manage and control it. I'm very zen now. But about a year ago, oh man, I'm going to say some things, but I'm not going to go into any detail at all, pretty much, because I've promised multiple people that I would not. The people involved might know what I'm talking about, but I couldn't talk about this stuff with you because it involved other people that are separate things. You'll see what I mean. About a year ago, I found out about something that happened to someone that I know. I'm not going to say any more than that because some people might know who I'm talking about. But I was very angry about the thing that happened to that person and the person that did it to them. And I had to go through a process of relearning to control my anger and to be able to forgive. This thing happened probably before I was born. Don't know anything about the serious details or this person. And so it was no good for me to be angry because it was hurting me and literally nobody else. So I had to relearn how to forgive and just let it go. And I've gotten pretty good at doing that with people who have wronged me, but it was kind of new to have that feeling towards somebody who'd done it to somebody else. But a couple weeks ago, I met a person who did something similar to someone else, is someone that I know. And it just kind of reawakened those feelings that I'd had. Brought back this thing that I thought I had dealt with was dead and buried. And I had those same feelings towards that person. And everything from before was being projected onto them. And so I was just really angry at this person. I couldn't do anything about it. And I couldn't talk about it with anybody because I promised this person I wouldn't talk about it. I told this person I wouldn't talk about their thing. So if I talked about it to that person, which was like one of the only people that I could talk about it to, I'd have to talk about that, and I bottled it up, which is something I promised I wouldn't do, but I did. And for about a week, I was just so angry, and it was just building up, and there were people that were asking me how I was doing. I just wanted to talk about it, just like, something happened, but it's okay, I'm good. And I was just grinding on my mind, and I was starting to feel down, and I was getting anxious, and what time is it? Okay, I still got some time. And I was just so angry. And I was playing a video game to kind of vent a little bit, release some tension. And I have a horrible sense of humor, and so sometimes I'll purposely die in video games because it makes me giggle. And I was playing Jedi Fallen Order. This video is not sponsored yet, but that's what I was doing. And I made my dude jump off a cliff, and I heard a little whisper in the back of my mind, wouldn't it be so nice if you could do that? And I was just
I was just like, what? Excuse me? I turned back in my mental car brain. I turned back, went, whatcha, I hit the freaking depression who had snuck up and was just whispering in my ear. And I realized that I was having a depressive episode. I didn't even know it. And I was just like, you sly dog! You know, because this is something else that I've learned. Oh, I'm not wearing my glasses. Something else I've learned is that a lot of the physical symptoms that come along with anger are the same ones that happen when you're anxious or when you're depressed. And that's why a lot of things like domestic violence happen, because people are stressed out and they're anxious and they don't realize they are, and they're feeling like they're angry and they lash out, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. And so I realized my brain was doing all this stuff and it was just kind of collating together, and it was just a depressive, anxious episode. Like I said, I'm always anxious, so that's a part of it every single time anything happens. But I realized that. I was like, oh, you snuck up on me. I kicked him in the face, and once I realized that, it made it a lot easier to manage what I was dealing with. So I relearned how to forgive and let go. I haven't seen this person since then, but I've relearned how to let go of things and how to manage the anxiety and depression the ways that I know how to. And I'm okay now. And the reason I share that is because I wanted to remind people that just because you've gotten over something or dealt with something, be prepared for it to come back. Don't be surprised when it does, and remember how you dealt with it before. Don't be discouraged, but allow yourself to be able. Okay, and we're back. Sorry, my phone ran out of memory. But as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, phone. Whoa, that was weird. Remember earlier when I was accusing you of thinking you were a time traveler? Well, the truth is, I have a medical condition where when my heart beats at about 88 miles per hour, I will spontaneously travel through time. And that's what just happened. It was not my phone being the spawn of Satan and deciding that the rest of the footage I filmed could not be read. Nope, not at all. But I did travel roughly 2 days into the future, and I changed my clothes there. I was there for about 2 days as well. And that's why I look different now. I have changed as a man. And I will try to finish the thought that I was saying, whatever it was. I think I was saying something along the lines of be able to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling and give yourself permission to let it happen, but remember how to deal with it in a healthy way. Probably. And along those lines, while I was in the future, I ran into the person that I was talking about. Remember how I just said that I hadn't seen that person since then? Well, okay, so honestly, I'm not 100% sure it was the same person. They were kind of far away, but we did make eye contact, and it looked like that person recognized me. And in that moment of contact, the rage beast within reared its head and started to exhale a lot of smoke, but only lasted for a brief moment. And I reminded myself what I'd been doing and the thought process I'd gone through. And I was able to let it go pretty quickly. And that was a huge step for me, and I'm really proud of myself. And I just realized I didn't actually say what I did to be able to let go. So I'm going to talk about it. And this is going to get into some religious stuff. Again, I'm not preaching anything. I know I say that every time. Sorry if it's annoying. but just look, this is how I did it. So the first time, going back a year with the other person, when I found out, I was angry for maybe 3 days, and it was on my mind that whole time. And this was about the time I got the blessing from my dad. Talked about that before, but you know that because, again, you've seen my other videos. And I was in bed that night, and I was thinking about this thing that had happened. And I was thinking about some of the stuff that was said in the blessing. And I remembered something that my dad shared with me when he was a bishop himself. He was dealing with a 14-year-old boy who had, and this is going to get pretty serious, just heads up, stop it if you don't want that. A 14-year-old boy who had molested a 6 or 7-year-old, and my father was just also very angry about this, not sure what he should do. And the thought that came into his mind was, he's my son too. Meaning he's also a child of God. He loves him just as much as he loved my dad and everybody else. And so that was the message I felt that I was supposed to have at that time too. And so that helped me a lot. I just had to remember that it's another human being and remind myself that I truly do believe that everyone matters. Everyone makes mistakes. Some of them a lot worse than others. Sometimes it's on purpose. But it is not my place to deal with it. And like I said, it wasn't anything that had to do with me, going back to what this other person did. So that really helped me out then. But then when everything happened now, that just wasn't cutting it, because this person was right here in front of me. I could see them. I knew exactly what they had done, and I knew exactly the effect they'd had. And it just, that thought was not enough. And I tried using it, but my anger was just, oh, nope. It was just latching on harder. And after about 2 weeks dealing with that, I was getting ready for a church meeting at like 6 in the morning. I never get up that early, so I was I was pretty out of it. But it was still on my mind, and I was thinking about it, and I was shaving, getting ready for the day. And I had been praying about this situation and how I can learn to let it go. And I've talked about in another video how I dealt with a situation where I was suicidal and planning on taking my life. And I had prayed, and for the first time in my life, I felt the love that Christ had for me. And his understanding and my belief that he suffered for everything that I've been through and will go through. And I've talked about it before. You can watch that video. But I still believe that, okay? And the thought that came into my mind at this point was, everything he did for me, he also did for this person. And that thought just, that put things in perspective. And I've also learned about some of the stuff that person has been through in their life. And I still don't excuse what they did. I still think that certain things need to happen to this person because of it. But I don't need to hold that anger. It's not my place. And I don't need to let it hurt me and destroy me. It's my choice. I have power over how I feel about it. And that really helped me do that. So I do know that's not something that's going to help everyone, especially if you don't believe in that kind of thing. But I do think that fact, that principle, how you allow anyone else's influence over you is entirely in your power. It's your choice. Even though it can be hard sometimes. It's entirely up to you. But I'm proud of myself for how I dealt with it, and the fact that I was able to do it again. And that is kind of the point of this video. This video is, again, like my very first one, for me. And the thought that I wanted to say at the end of it, I think, has been best said by Steven Universe. Because for a long time, I didn't care about myself. I didn't care what happened to me. And a lot of people mistook that for confidence. It was not that. It was just I didn't care what happened. And for a long time, my self-worth was based entirely upon what I was able to do for other people and how they felt about me. But again, Steven Universe said it best. I don't need you to respect me. I respect me. I don't need you to love me. I love me. And I'm really proud of myself. I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. And I just want to say this to you, past Michael Garza, and future Michael Garza too. I'm proud of you, kid. You're doing it. You've done it. You're on your way. And I can honestly say, for the first time in my life, I am proud to be you. And yeah, I think that's it. Once again, this video is much longer than I intended it to be, but so what? Whatever, it works. I just want to say that I hope that you can get to a place where you're happy with yourself and help others to do the same thing. You're great, you're amazing. Keep it up. I'll see you next time.
I like to use coasters so I don't leave a ring on the glass. Oh, what? What?